20 minutes after 9 a.m., and it's time for us to get into our current affairs, moments in the current affairs. So, school has denied pupils access because they are over age. Two 16-year-old pupils who were kept out of school for years after they got an ancestral calling are being denied access to class and have been told that they are over age. Akona Fesi and Bongiwin Daba told the Sowetan on Wednesday that officials at Poloso Secondary School in Alexandra, Johannesburg, had refused to enroll two pupils in grade 9, despite one of them saying she was armed with a letter from the district stating that the child must be placed at the institution. Frustrated parents blocked teachers from entering the school on Wednesday morning over non-placement of their children. Fesi, who is 27 years old, said her niece had been out of school for 2 years as she had an ancestral calling that led to health problems. This started in 2018 when her hands would bleed and she would collapse in class. For her safety, the family decided that she should focus on her calling. Last year, she went back to school to study grade 8 at the school in Cape Town where she was staying with her mother. Unfortunately, we had to take her as her mother is now employed, Fesi said. Ufesi also said that she went to the district as was referred to Poloso, but she was told her niece is over age for a grade 9 class. Undaba, who's 34 years old, said she had been frequenting the district offices hoping to find space for her sister. She used to stay in the Northwest, but because of her ancestral calling, she missed 2 years of schooling. She is now better and ready to continue with school again. However, Poloso said, "We were told that she is over age. I have been coming to the district every day with no luck," she said from the district offices in Sandton. Ntabiseng Tlatlogi, 28 years old, who was outside Poloso, said it had been 2 years since her sister went to school. Over the course of 4 days, from the 1st to the 4th of February, the Judicial Service Commission will sit to interview a record of 4 candidates for Chief Justice. This is the most fraught part of what has been the long process. How did we get here and what should we expect? In South Africa, the Chief Justice is appointed in terms of Section 173.3 of the Constitution, which gives the President the sole prerogative on the appointment of the Chief Justice and 3 other top judicial leadership positions, including Deputy Chief Justice and the President and her deputy at the Supreme Court of Appeal. All the posts apartheid Chief Justices Mohammed Chaskason, Langang Ngcobo, and Mogoeng were appointed on the sole prerogative of the president of their time. However, in exercising this prerogative, the Constitution also requires the president to consult the Judicial Service Commission, JSC, and leaders of the political parties in the parliament. On the 16th of September last year, President Ramaphosa decided to exercise his prerogative on appointing the Chief Justice. He broke the previous practices by inviting the public nominations for the position and also convened a shortlisting panel of 6 eminent people chaired by Judge Navi Pillay, featuring Tulima Donsela, Steve Letsike, and others, including perhaps less eminent former Minister Jeff Radebe. The panel was tasked with shortlisting between 3 and 5 of the nominated candidates in an open, transparent, and expeditious manner. According to the presidency, 148 public submissions were made, consisting of 25 names. Some names featured on more than one submission. Of these 25, the presidency says only 8 met the formally large administration criteria set out by the public, called by the president. These 8 names were the long list and featured the names highly regarded like Deputy Chief Justice Raymond Zondo, Constitutional Court Justice Mbuyiseni Madlanga, Supreme Court of Appeal President Mandisa Maya, and Gauteng Judge President Dunstan Mlambo. Less highly regarded nominees on the list were embattled Western Cape President John Hlophe and Public Protector Busisiwe Mkhwebane, and even less well-known Cape Advocate Alan Nelson and Advocate Wallace Mgoqi, the controversial chairperson of the AYO Technology. Mkhwebane and Goke withdrew, while Nelson and Hlophe did just not make the cut. From the long list, the Pillay panel had to draw up a short list which they would send to the president, accompanied by a report. This was submitted to the presidency on the 29th of October last year. 2 weeks later, on the 18th of November, the president whittled down that long list to a short list of 4 candidates that would be sent to the JSC for interviews. These candidates were Zondo, Madlanga, Maya, and Mlambo. By these calculations, the open process was relatively straightforward and should have delivered a new Chief Justice by the end of 2021. However, there were inexplicable delays in the process, which only added to the angst of 50 days without a permanent person in the office of the Chief Justice. It took the president 2 weeks after receiving the Pillay report before he sent the shortlist to the JSC for review. This was in mid-November last year. It was only in December last year that the JSC met and announced that it would completely and unexpectedly undertake its own process of public consultations. At the same time, the JSC invited written comment from the general public, including law bodies and academia. Considering that the JSC has scheduled 4 days of interviews, they suspect each candidate will be interviewed for a full day starting on Tuesday with Madlanga and continuing alphabetically until Uzondo on Friday. One cannot help but wonder which criteria will the JSC use and what questions will the JSC ask when conducting these interviews for the top job in the judiciary. What qualities will they look for? How will they be able to distinguish the performance of each candidate? All of these would be answered had the JSC bothered to draw up a clear set of criteria which Judge Matter had already identified as a fundamental process. So we are waiting patiently to find out how the outcomes are going to actually play out. The judiciary is at stake, and the judiciary is one of the most important limbs of what we stand for as a constitutional democracy. In the city of Johannesburg, the council is headed to court as several parties have stated they will challenge the election of Section 79 portfolio chairs. On Thursday, 16 councillors from the DA, Action SA, PA, UIM, and ATM were elected to serve in the various portfolios during the meeting that ended in chaos. Before the nominations took place, the EFF chief whip in the council, Nonhlanhla Hadebe, claimed that the parties from the opposition, including the EFF, were given incorrect nomination forms. Open quote, all these forms are the same format except the one for chairs and for the chair of chairs. This means you do not allow all the other parties to contest fairly and free by giving us the incorrect information forms. This amounts to fraud, I beg your pardon, and we might take it up, and if we're not given clear explanation, Hadebe said. Council Speaker Vasco da Gama said he would look into the matter before continuing with the meeting. The position of chair of the Municipal Public Accounts Committee remains vacant. Da Gama said the election would take place in the next council meeting. And further afield in this beautiful continent of Africa, the main opposition leader in Zimbabwe, Nelson Chamisa, feels optimistic about winning next year's presidential elections. Chamisa narrowly lost to general elections in 2018 to Emerson Mnangagwa, and in what was denounced as a stolen vote. He says they know that we constitute an alternative. They know that we defeated them in 2018, and we're about to repeat that. Not just in the by-elections, but also in 2023 elections, with a big gap. So they have tried to decimate us, to destroy us, to divide us, and to defocus us, but they have failed, said Nelson Chamisa. Referring to the change of the name of the party announced this week, the Movement for the Democratic Change, MDC, to Citizens Coalition for Change, CCC, Chamisa claims it's a break from the past. He says we need to fix Zimbabwe in order to restore the dignity of the citizens, and that is what we are doing. So, of course, we have not rebranded. It's a new party. It's a fresh start. It's a new beginning, and it's a new dawn. It's a sunrise in Zimbabwe.
We are extraterrestrial. We are KNR.